Hey, everybody, welcome back to the SCB Steelers Inside Blitz for June 18th, 2025. We are presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida, and congrats to the fam down there enjoying their second straight Stanley Cup title. Sounds like they're living it up down there. So, again, congrats to them. And of course, the show originates from the Frank Walker Law Studio. And I'm still trying to decide if my new Father's Day gift, which is right over my shoulder here, is too bright. I'm just not sure. I've got it on the lowest setting. If you can't see it, it's a Steelers logo, but man, it looks really, really bright from where I'm sitting. So I might have to change that up a little bit. In any case, obviously, we have reached the dead period. This is the point of time where people like myself and many, many others collectively hold our breath because we don't want anything bad to happen. We don't want poor choices made by the young men who will be wearing the black and gold this year. We already saw just a little minor thing with Shedeur Sanders getting pulled over in his truck doing over 100 miles an hour outside Cleveland. So, those are little things, but as we all know, those things can be much, much bigger. And let's just continue to hope that with each passing day and week, we get to training camp and everybody behaves themselves and does just fine. A couple of things to get to tonight. First of all, the new contract for DeShon Elliott. Look, I mean, totally deserved. Elliott was, I think you could argue, the most consistent defensive player last year. I can't even think about how many times he came up to make big stops in crucial situations. He's an excellent tackler. Seems to be one of the few that communicates well, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I really like the guy, and I think a lot of Steelers fans really like him and appreciate him too. He's passionate. He even made the comment that he feels like he was kind of born to be a Steeler, and so he'll be locked in here for the next few years. And I think it's a great move. I'm glad to see him do it. Like I said, it's deserved. I'm glad to see Omar Khan and Tomlin recognize that he is a necessary chess piece for this team in a lot of different ways. And I'm totally good with this. As far as TJ Watt, it is as it is. I'm not going to spend much time on it. I am going to start agreeing with Scarps a little bit from the regular podcast. As you know, on Thursday nights, he made the comment he thinks this could go right up to week 1 of the regular season, and it might. I think everybody knows both sides want to get it done. That's not a secret here. The issue appears to be guaranteed money. And that's not easy to come to an agreement on that, especially when you're a 30-year-old edge rusher. And I just think that this is not going to end the way the last one did. He's not going to get frustrated and walk into the office and say, "Where's the contract? I'm signing it. I got to get back in the field." I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think he will sit until this thing is absolutely positively done. So that's, again, just my opinion, but I think that's where it's headed. And some would argue maybe that's not the worst thing because it's less wear and tear on him. He doesn't have to go through the brutality, kind of brutality these days of NFL training camp. But be that as it may, it's something that, again, we believe will get done and definitely before the season. I'd be stunned if it went any other way than that. I mentioned earlier talking about Elliott and the fact that he seemed to be pretty good communicator in the secondary. And the reason I said to mention that, get into that later, is because the issue of miscommunication has come up again. Mike DeFavo of The Athletic had a kind of a good, wrap up on minicamp and OTAs recently. And he was making references to the fact that appeared to be another problem for the Steelers in 2024. And I think most of you are aware of what the definition of insanity is. And that's what it feels like. Every single stinking year, we deal with this. Oh, they had communication problems on the back end. Oh, somebody had the wrong assignment. Somebody blew this. Somebody did that. That's going to happen. Good offensive coordinators will challenge defensive coordinators and force them to make proper changes, proper adjustments. And at times you're going to catch defensive players out of position, or they're just not going to be on the right page. But that should not be happening to the level of which it appears to be happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers over these many years now. It seems like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't think I am, but it seems like every single year we're dealing with this issue of miscommunication when it comes to the secondary. And I don't want to completely throw the DBs under the bus, because sometimes that does also affect linebackers as well in certain situations. But be that as it may, there is a problem here. Now, Gerald Alexander coming back after he spent a year out west, he's back. There's a lot of excitement for having him back with the Steelers, the coaching energy and everything else, which I love. It's fantastic. But will they be able to address the communication issues? And it sounds like they're going to do some different things coverage wise. They might use a little bit more of what's called quarters coverage, which, look, every coverage in the NFL, there's different levels of difficulty. This is really difficult, this isn't, but every one of them still requires certain rules, and each of those rules thereby it requires communication. And it seemed like when they did very sparingly use quarters last year, it seemed to go pretty well. And so there's this feeling that they might use that a little bit more. Now, obviously, with Juan Thornhill coming over as a free agent, the feeling is that they can use a lot of that heavy, that three safety look, if you will, which will allow them to do some things too. But all those things said, and we'll get into a lot more of that. As the offseason rambles on, but they've got to clean up the issues of being able to communicate. The right hand has to know what the left hand is doing, because when those failures occur, that's when you get guys running open across the middle, guy running open down the seam. And these are not 3 and 5 yard pickups. These are 17, 24, 30-yard pickups, because they're exposing the mistakes in the secondary. And if you're not getting a consistent pass rush, quarterbacks have time to find those deeper routes when those miscommunications are had. So they got to clean it up. And, we can probably point to the fact that the one constant in recent years has been Mike Tomlin and more recently Terrell Austin, but doesn't matter. Fix it. It's got to be fixed. Okay. We know that. Coming up this week on the show tomorrow night, we don't really do an off season. We might take a week off before the season begins, but we actually enjoy this kind of year, because we really just kind of kick back and just talk about whatever. And so tomorrow night we will start our all 21st century team. Okay. We are now 25 years into the 21st century, and that means 25 years of Pittsburgh Steelers football in this current 100-year cycle. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on offense tomorrow night, and Ian, no surprise to any of you, already has charts made and everything else, and we will start filling in those slots. Now, some of those are going to be easy. Okay. I am not telling any of you nothing you don't know when I say I feel pretty confident that Ben Roethlisberger will probably be the quarterback of this 21st century team. Okay. But there's going to be some debate and some discussion about other areas, maybe at linebacker, maybe in the secondary, maybe wide receiver. I can see some things coming up because you go back to 2000, early 2000s, there was some really interesting talent on this team that should not go forgotten. And we will do our best to try to lay out our best offensive guys. And then, of course, next week we'll do the defense and special team stuff. And then in the weeks that follow, we'll focus heavily on just getting ready for the season. We'll start looking at 53-man roster predictions. We'll start looking at just position by position. With both Cliff and Dom doing great draft work for us this year, they're going to be able to do some in-season stuff. So I think one of the really cool things is for them to be able to start profiling some of the guys that we may be looking at in the 2026 NFL draft coming up in Pittsburgh, of course, in the spring. So a lot of great stuff coming up, and check us out. We really, really, really would love to have you guys join us live. It's fantastic. We have just an amazing core group of people that are in the chat every single week. They're knowledgeable people. They're fun people. We can roast each other constantly, and we have a great time. Nobody takes offense, except maybe Ben. But other than that, it's a great time. So check us out tomorrow night, the Steel City Blitz Steelers podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. That comes up tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. Check out the socials and stuff, and you'll see the links to that and everything else. So, all right, I'm going to get on out of here. Those are my thoughts for this week, and hopefully we'll see everybody tomorrow night. And hey, go Steelers.